This is Sports Talk with Phil Kornbluth, Chris Bergen, and Pat Daniel. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on sportstalksc.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil, Chris, and Pat with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
All right, welcome in, everybody. It is Sports Talk Media Network here on a Thursday night. Media, radio in your ear, streaming in your ear, and also a little video in your face. That's why it's Sports Talk Media Network. You can hear us over the airwaves. You can hear us via streaming on Twitter, also on Facebook, and on YouTube. If you like YouTube, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, Sports Talk Media Network, Facebook for Sports Talk Media Network, on Twitter at Sports Talk SC. Good to have you with us. Hope you've had another hot day here in South Carolina. Finally going to cool off just a little bit here on Sunday, I believe. Maybe some rain. That would be nice for everyone. We got a lot of baseball going on. We'll update you on everything happening there. Major League Baseball, college baseball. Tonight, we will got a busy show for you tonight. We've got Mike Morgan at the bottom of the hour. He's at the ACC tournament. We did a little tag team. Chris left, and he passed the baton to Mike. And so Mike's in Charlotte for the ESPN, and also for us, mostly for ESPN, but also for us. And 7:05, the new director of player personnel for Gamecock football, Taylor Edwards, makes his debut appearance here on Sports Talk, with June becoming a heavy recruiting month with official visits, unofficial visits, and camps, and a new recruiting strategy with a new staff at South Carolina. I thought it'd be a good time to visit with him about their plans and how they plan to get players to commit basically in the dark to a staff they don't know a whole lot about, to a program that they don't know what it's going to be doing in the future. 7:30, Clemson golf coach Larry Penley. It's the eve of the NCAA men's golf championships. They begin tomorrow, and Clemson will be teeing off about 3 o'clock. We'll get the lowdown from him. By the way, USC tennis star Daniel Rodriguez has advanced to the championship match of the NCAA singles tennis championship. So the Gamecocks have another tennis player with a chance to win a national championship in men's tennis. We'll tell you more about that coming up. And our phone number, 888-898-2525, 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number for you here on Sports Talk. Before I update the baseball, Chris, you've made the drive back from the Queen City to the Pearl of the PD. Is that Florence, the Pearl of the PD?
Actually, no. The Pearl of the PD would be Darlington.
Darlington
has calls itself the Pearl of the PD. But dovetailing off your comments about Mike Morgan, is there a better person for me to hand the baton off to run the anchor leg than Mike Morgan for our coverage of the ACC baseball tournament?
I think not. You know, strange thing about the ACC, though, and I understand, I guess he still has some contracts to be played out. So I got home last night wanting to watch the final stages of the Clemson game, and I turned, of course, where would you turn? You know, a logical
network.
Thinking person would turn to the ACC network. They had Clemson on, but it was a replay of the Clemson-Duke softball game from I don't know when, I guess the ACC softball tournament. And I'm like, where's the baseball game? And, of course, you had to go find it on Bally Sports, which, of course, has become the brand name for those old Fox Sports regional stations. And I think that even though they have the ACC network now, they still had some of these contracts to be played out. And that's why I guess they put that game over there. But my goodness, you got your own network that you would want to brand and highlight, especially for a marquee, kind of a marquee baseball game. And you had to go searching for it. But anyway, that was my problem. I did find it. And Clemson finished up with a nice win, Chris. So they go into the offseason. Hey, they can always say we won our last game of the season. It just didn't happen in Omaha.
11-5 last night, and had they played like that all season long, Phil, I'm not sure Monty Lee would have spent the majority of his post-game press conference last night answering questions about what went wrong. How do you feel about your status going into next year? We'll hear some of Monty Lee's post-game comments coming up a little bit later in the program, but I thought they were somewhat insightful. He was asked several different ways about his future. Does he feel positive about things moving forward? And he said yes. He said he never speculates, never speculates on his contract and his status at Clemson, but he fully expects to be retained and expects to be the head coach next year. And you and I were kind of joking. It reminded me a little bit of what Frank Martin said in his press conference after South Carolina reworked his contract here most recently about, I understand the issues that face our program. I'm the one to get them fixed. And that's basically what Monty Lee said last night. But yeah, they played extremely well. And Bryce Teodosio, can you have a better single game than what he did last night? An inside the park home run, which ironically was the second of his career. He also did that at Boston College back in 2019. He also is the first Clemson player to hit 2 triples in an ACC tournament game, I think, since 1991. I mean, he just had a terrific day at the plate yesterday, and they played very, very well. And Davis Sharp, after giving up some early runs and looked like he might be in trouble, he went into shutdown mode from the 4th inning on, pitched 7 strong innings last night. So I think the Tigers have a lot to build on moving into next year. And one thing that Monty Lee also brought up last night, which I found interesting, they anticipate and expect Caden Grice, their slugger DH first baseman part-time pitcher. Monty Lee saying last night that he anticipates Caden Grice will be a weekend starter for the Tigers next season.
That would make sense. They just got to figure out a way, of course, not to take away anything from his offensive contributions, because I don't know that Davis Sharp has ever been the great player, the overall great player that he was expected to be, because he has split time playing in the field and trying to pitch and trying to hit. Of course, he's had some injuries as well.
Sure.
And, now the next step, if he goes on to the pros, he'll concentrate on one thing, I would think, and he may be a great player at the next level. Just got to make sure you don't sacrifice one thing. I mean, you don't want to give up a guy who's capable. He's capable of hitting 20-plus home runs in a season based on what we saw this year. He's very capable of that. You want to make sure you don't sacrifice that. So let's catch you up on baseball. And the first thing I look at, we had a great conversation last night with Coach Inter Donato from Wofford. Yeah, a lot of great things to say. And, we're all feeling pretty confident. They are the Southern Conference regular season champions. Right now, they're losing to Western Carolina 9-3 at Fluor Field in Greenville. A 4-run second kind of turned this thing for Western. That made it 5-0, then 7-0. Wofford got 2 in the 5th, Western 2 in the 6th. Wofford's come back with a run in the 6th, down 9-3, 9-11-0 for Western, 3-8-1 for Wofford. Did not see that coming. Of course, there's a lot of things been happening that we haven't seen coming, like Duke beating Miami today, 3-2, and so they're into the semifinals. Louisville is beating Georgia Tech 6-3, bottom of the 5th, so winner there moves on to the semis. And you've got Pitt coming up tonight. If I'm not mistaken, NC State's playing tonight. That's their first game, right?
That is correct. And I made a mistake last night, Phil. We were speculating when we were talking about the status of North Carolina. North Carolina is out of the mix. I went back and looked through their pool since they lost to Pittsburgh. That game tonight between Pittsburgh and NC State, that will determine the winner of their pool. If NC State wins, regardless of what they do against North Carolina tomorrow, because they're the highest seeded team, the worst they could finish if they beat Pittsburgh tonight would be 1-1. They'll advance on as the highest seeded team in their pool. Or if Pittsburgh wins tonight, they'll advance on because they're the only undefeated team in their pool. So the game against North Carolina, as big as it will be in Charlotte between the Tar Heels and Wolfpack, basically much like last night's Georgia Tech Clemson game, is going to be a meaningless ball game other than for a little state pride in the Triangle area.
All right, in the Big South tournament, Presbyterian, barring a collapse here in the bottom of the 9th, is going to beat Campbell. PC is up 7-1, though the Camels do have the bases loaded and 1 out in the bottom of the 9th. But PC is trying to hold on, leading 7-1. At the SEC, talk about things that, you just weren't expecting. So Mississippi State is done. their great regular season. They're done as far as the SEC is concerned. They lose to Tennessee today, 12-2. So, they just did not play like the great team they were in the regular season. Ole Miss has sent Georgia packing, elimination game there, 4-0. So Tennessee and Ole Miss advance. You got Alabama, Florida about to begin, and tonight in the one of the best. They did not play in the regular season, Arkansas and Vanderbilt. So now we're going to get a chance to see two of the top teams in the country face off with two of the top pitchers in the country facing off. And what a win for Vanderbilt last night. Walk-off win in the bottom of the ninth against Ole Miss. Was that ninth or did they go extras? It was late. I was watching late. 5-4 was the final. I think it was bottom of the ninth that Vandy won. Arkansas beat Georgia last night 11-2. Up in Tigerville, my goodness, the Sports Talk kiss became the Sports Talk curse, apparently. North Greenville, top of the ninth, is trailing in its game against Wingate in their regional. It's not 6-3. Wingate on top of North Greenville. Make that 6-4. The Landon Powells just scored a run in the top of the ninth. They've got no one out, so there is hope, but they're down 6-4.
And keep in mind, Phil, as Landon told us last night, should they lose that game, that would not necessarily be an upset because Wingate's actually a higher seeded team, despite the fact that North Greenville is hosting this regional. So this would not be an upset that you would anticipate first, because we all look at the formula and see what D1 does with its regionals. And if the host team loses, you're like, oh my gosh, what happened? This is a little bit different in Division II. And I delved further into the Wofford game, and then you can get back to the scoreboard. I found out the reason they are not being successful today. They go to the seventh, trailing 9-4 now. They have yet to steal a base in that ball game. And you remember what Coach Donato was telling us last night about his team always ranking inside the top 5 nationally in stolen bases. Well over 100 this year. They have yet to steal one thus far in this ball game.
Well, you keep them off the base paths and keep them from running. That takes something away from them. And we've got the College of Charleston, a loser today in the CAA to Northeastern, 10-3. So I guess they play a regular bracket here. I don't know if they play regular bracket or pods. I haven't looked. I think it just drops them into the losers bracket. I think it's their first loss. They fall to Northeastern today, 10-3. Am I right about that? Is this their first loss in the tournament? We'll have to check.
Yes, because they had the walk-off win against Towson yesterday.
Was that yesterday?
I believe so. So I think that's just their second game in the tournament, if I'm not mistaken.
All right, so they lose 10-3. Pat, what you got?
It's also worth pointing out another one of the top 20 potential host sites. Number 1 seed Charlotte in Conference USA was eliminated today. They went 0-2 in their conference tournament, losing today to Florida Atlantic 9-8. So curious to see what that does in regards to South Carolina.
Interesting. 0-2 in barbecue. Baseball America did have an updated projection yesterday. Tweeted it out last night. They had South Carolina hosting as a number 2 seed with Old Dominion, the number 1 seed. So, I mean, in the minds of baseball people, that is something that could happen. And they had Wofford in there as well. Where was Wofford? I think they had Wofford in the Gastonia regional as a 4 seed. Wofford's got to take care of some business in the SoCon tournament. All right, we'll be back after the break.
The Southeastern Institute of Manufacturing and Technology at Florence Darlington Technical College specializes in sophisticated manufacturing services and workforce development training. The SIMT offers rapid prototyping, additive manufacturing, advanced machining, and business incubation services to clients from across the state and nation, plus social media listening services and rentals of conferencing and training spaces. The SIMT also houses an 800-seat auditorium, a conference center that can seat more than 1,200 for dinner or a luncheon, and numerous classroom spaces with state-of-the-art presentation technologies. Visit our website at simt.com or call 866-304-7468 for more information. The SIMT, technology to grow your business.
Hi, this is Phil Kornblut of Sports Talk here with Major Billy Downer of the Department of Natural Resources. What words of wisdom do you have for those hitting the water this summer?
Phil, collisions can be prevented easily if every vessel operator fulfills 3 major responsibilities. 1, practice good seamanship. It's the responsibility of every boat or PWC operator to take all necessary action to avoid a collision. 2, keep a proper lookout. Failing to keep a sharp lookout is the most common cause of boating collisions. And finally, maintain a safe speed. Remember, boat safe, boat smart.
Founders is offering a low-rate mortgage with up to $4,000 in closing costs to full-time hospital employees, honoring your frontline efforts against COVID-19. With no PMI, no origination fee, and no limit on the loan amount, you can't go wrong. Visit founders.com/HEC and apply for your hospital employee choice mortgage today. Membership qualification required. Terms and conditions apply. Institution NMLS identifier number 410646. Founders is an equal housing lender and is federally insured by the NCUA.
Stay tuned. More Sports Talk is coming up on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Welcome to Tiny Stories. Today we're with Sonia, who recently won $500 on a scratch-off.
I am such a loser.
I'm so confused.
Ever been to a family reunion?
Not if I can help it.
My dad's family rents a beach house every year. I've always said I can't afford to go.
I am so sorry.
I'm assigned a sleeping bag on the porch with cousins I've never met.
Been there. Even got the t-shirt.
You may be cousin Tina.
No. You know what? That's it for the South Carolina Education Lottery. Tell your story at tellyourtinystory.com.
It's been a trying year for parents. They've been confronted with countless challenges and have always risen to the occasion. If it isn't too much to ask, the 97,000 high school student athletes in South Carolina have one last request.
Please, set an example.
Disorderly fan conduct at high school athletic events is on the rise. It increasingly involves parents. There's no question that parents are passionate. There's no question they care about their children. But at a time when we're all wound a little more tightly than usual, it's worth remembering this about South Carolina high school sports. Always be a good example. Stop unruly fan behavior before it starts.
This message presented by the South Carolina High School League and the South Carolina Athletic Administrators Association.
The future of golf is waiting for you at the Players Club. Rain, shine, or after dark, you can enjoy the game of golf anytime at Columbia's Indoor Country Club. The Players Club delivers the most realistic golf experience and offers more than 90 championship courses. Player practice with the same state-of-the-art full-swing simulators used by Tiger Woods and Jordan Spieth. Visit maincoursesc.com to book a bay and become a player today at the Players Club, part of the Main Course, 1626 Main Street in Columbia.
Hey, got some football news to talk about. If you aren't aware, they announced many of the kickoff times, television locations for South Carolina, Clemson, and Coastal football games. We'll touch on that for you here just a little bit. Always good to have some football convo. In fact, time for Mr. Bergen to let us, not right now, we'll get to it in a little bit, but time for him to sort of let us know how he feels about the Clemson, South Carolina seasons coming up and over under on wins that he thinks those teams will have, and Coastal Carolina. Our phone number, 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. Hey, did you know that since 2002, more than $2.2 billion in lottery proceeds have been used to fund life scholarships for the state's college-bound students? You can learn more about the South Carolina Education Lottery's impact at scheducationlottery.com/educationwins. And playing for fun, no doubt about it, is a win for education. We go to the phones, 888-898-2525. Billy in Somerville, welcome into Sports Talk. How are you, sir?
Hey, Phil, how you doing?
Doing fine. How are you?
A couple of questions for you. Good. A couple of questions for you. And I've been on the fence with the baseball team towards the end of the year. Do you think they still, I mean, this might be an off-the-wall question, but the way they've ended the season and those losses, are they still in the region, or do you think that's going to hurt them with all these tournaments still going on?
No, the Gamecocks are definitely going to be in the NCAA tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think when, they have enough quality wins. They have some series wins. I know down the stretch, as we talked about last night, or I think Andy, the caller, brought up, The overall record down the stretch was not great, and going to Hoover one and done was not great, but I think they'd already printed their ticket prior to that.
Now, are they going? What region are they going? Do you think they will be in? Is it with the East Carolina region? Or which region is that exactly? Since they're not going to be hosting.
Well, I mean, the region will be the East Carolina Regional or the Greenville, North Carolina Regional. They typically name it after the cities. The Greenville, North Carolina Regional. I think there's going to be one of three options for South Carolina, one of three possibilities. Hosting as a number 2 seed, going to Greenville, North Carolina, or going to Gastonia, North Carolina. I mean, now that they're opening things back up, they're going to have fans in the stands. You got to think about selling tickets. And South Carolina will bring a nice crowd wherever it goes if you keep it within a reasonable drive. And probably those 3 locations, counting their own, of course, the other 2 locations are going to be the closest ones available to them, I think. So that would be my guess at this point.
Now, one more question for you, and I know this is going to be Shane Beamer's first year, and it always seems like he's already doing a better job as far as recruitment-wise, which he did when he was there before. The over-under as far as a good year for his first year with the kind of schedule that we have every year, what would you think the total ones would be for him to have, say, a marked season as far as showing where the program might go with this direction?
So, I'm sorry, you said you're talking about Gamecock football?
Yes, sir.
You want to know? You want to know what a reasonable over/under is for Gamecock football this first season under Shane Beamer?
What do you think would be a good positive for after everything's happened the last couple of years as far as them taking over?
Well, I mean, the Las Vegas has put the over/under on South Carolina for this coming season at 4.
Right.
I mean, they'll win 4 games just falling out of bed. I mean, I think 4. is definitely a low number. And so, I mean, look, I'm looking for Beamer to come out of the chute here with his attitude and with his belief system and with his players believing in him and with better players in some places than they're giving credit for. I mean, they're very good at running back. They're very good at tight end. I think they're very good along the defensive line. I think they're potentially pretty good on the offensive line. Now,
one of the biggest questions. I'm sorry. Go ahead. One of the biggest questions I always have with Muschamp was just like he used the players in the wrong positions when he had talent and up and down the field, which they just didn't use them in the right spots. That's how I feel about it.
Well, I mean, putting guys in the right place to help you win, that's coaching. That's identifying the talent and making sure that you've got the right piece in the right spot. I don't think it looks to me like they've got guys where they're supposed to be. And thanks for your phone call. I know folks are worried about receiver, Chris, but I see guys like Kerryon Joyner, who's a terrific athlete, having a chance to play a big role there. I look for or Trey Smith to come back and be a big-bodied receiver for them to show what he did early in his career at South Carolina. Josh Vann, who started to come on last year, I think he continued and had a good spring. And then you got some guys, and there's others. I mean, they got the transfer of Marion Brown. They got enough bodies at wide receiver to find 3 or 4 who can make big plays. The big question mark, I think we know it now, Chris, if you don't have a quarterback who can hit the down the field ball, you're going to have trouble in today's college football scoring points. And can Doty do that, or Jason Brown, the freshman who's come in? Can they find somebody who can do that on a continuous basis?
I don't know. I don't think that this team is. There's so many unknowns about Carolina football going into the fall that I'm not sure anybody can label. And you say they can win 4 games just falling flat out of bed. Huh?
Yes.
I look at their schedule and I see just 4 of those type games: Eastern Illinois, Troy, probably Vanderbilt's, and then Phil. I'm telling you, they've got so many toss-up games that this is a team that could win 4, 5, 6 games. I just don't see them going much higher than that. I know you were a little more optimistic on their win-loss total. Matter of fact, the first show that I did with you, that was the question you posed to me, and I said 5.
I was drunk that night because I was
5.
happy to have you with us, and I'd been drinking Budweiser really heavily.
I understand, but
I really think 6 is an absolute legitimate possibility for South Carolina.
I think that's fair.
And a bowl game.
To answer Billy's question, though, I think 5 or 6 wins would be a major, major shift coming off a 2-win season last year.
All right, got to hit a break here on Sports Talk. We'll be back. Mike Morgan coming up.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. We're clear, but not very cool. A low of 69 overnight. Tomorrow, one more day of this scorching May weather. A high of 96, a mix of sun and clouds. Now for the weekend, Saturday, we cool down a little bit. A high of 87 with a 20% chance of a sprinkle. While on Sunday, it's a spring-like 78 as our high with more clouds than sun. I'm Kevin Cohn with your On Point local weather.
Are you tired of high cable TV rates? Sign up for Dish today and get a $500 bonus offer while supplies last. Plus, lock in your price for 2 years guaranteed. Call All American Dish, your Dish authorized retailer now.
800-380-4452. 800-380-4452. That's 800-380-4452. Offers require credit qualification, 24-month commitment, early termination fee, and e-auto pay. Restrictions apply. Call for details.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Former House Speaker Paul Ryan is weighing in on the fight for the Republican Party's future, and he's urging conservatives to reject Donald Trump and what he called second-rate imitations. Ryan is making the remarks in a speech Thursday night at the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library in California. The AP obtained the prepared remarks. The vast majority of Republicans in Washington and beyond remain loyal to Mr. Trump, even while the former president continues to make claims about his election loss last year. In his remarks, Ryan said, quote, "If the conservative cause depends on the populist appeal of one personality or on second-rate imitations, then we're not going anywhere," unquote. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 141 points, the NASDAQ dropped 1, the S&P 500 up by 4. More details at srnnews.com.
Up.
Oh, good, you're home. I need your help.
Doing what?
Replacing our old light bulbs with these new energy-efficient LEDs.
Where did you get these?
Dominion Energy. I ordered direct from their online store. LEDs for every room, all at huge discounts.
Oh, really?
Yes, really. And my 15-bulb order got us free shipping.
Sounds too good to be true.
See for yourself at DominionEnergySC.com.
Where?
DominionEnergySC.com.
Certain restrictions apply.
Spring is more than pollen season. It also means it's termite season. Palmetto Exterminators offers a free inspection at your home to determine any possible issues. Palmetto Exterminators offers the best termite agreement anywhere, but they do so much more. They offer complete pest control, mosquito control, wildlife trapping and removal, and nobody, I mean nobody, can offer you more peace of mind at your home or business. Now, how do I know that? Well, I never tell you to use someone like Palmetto Exterminators unless I practice what I preach. Now, I've been a customer for 19 years, and they are wonderful. My guy, Ron Byers, and his team, over at Palmetto Exterminators, they've looked after my family forever. We have no pest control issues whatsoever. But if we did, all it takes is one phone call, and Palmetto Exterminators will fix it. It's pretty simple. Call Palmetto Exterminators and cross pest control right off your list of concerns. Online, it's palmettoexterminators.net, or give my guy Ron a call, 254-5833.
Hey, I'm State Representative Chris Wooten.
And I'm State Representative Micah Cassidy.
Join us on Wednesday mornings at 9 a.m. on The Rep.
We'll talk about everything that's happening in the State House and give you an insider's perspective.
All from the General Assembly. So join us at 9 a.m. on The Point, 100.7 FM or 1470 a.m.
Is that crack in your windshield or your house bothering you?
Have you been meaning to have it replaced but just can't find the time?
Call Absolute Glass, voted Lexington's best glass shop for 12 years in a row.
We repair and replace glass on all makes and models.
We're the only local high-end auto glass specialist in the Midlands, and we'll come to you to make the process quick and easy.
With new technologies and vehicles, we can recalibrate your vehicle back to new.
Visit AbsoluteGlassInc.com to learn more about our auto, home, and business glass services. Just remember, if you can see through it, we can do it.
Hello, Midlands. It's Jay here with The Melting Pot. Here's a few questions we get when people call us. Do we serve only chocolate? No, we serve 4 courses, but you can get just chocolate or 4 courses of chocolate. No, you don't have to sit at a big table with strangers around you, but you can sit at a big table with friends around you. You just need to bring the friends with you. We also specialize in having lots of private booths with real walls between them, so you won't feel like a fish in a plexiglass tank. Come and see us at the Melting Pot, 1410 Colonial Life Boulevard.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring Sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
Okay, we're back. Sports Talk Media Network. Phil Kornblut, Chris Bergen, and Pat Daniel on this very busy Thursday. Just a moment, we're either going to be talking live to Mike Morgan or hearing from Monty Lee from last night. And we'll catch up with Monty Lee live next week when he has a chance to sort of let things settle down and reevaluate. Jeff Hartzell of the Post and Courier tweeted out a little while ago that probably the best player on the Citadels team, I would imagine. Big-time hitter is transferring to Clemson. That is Tyler Corbett. Hit 347 in 93 games with the Bulldogs. Hit 347 for his career, and he is transferring as a grad transfer with 2 years to play at Clemson. So talk about starting to revamp your lineup immediately and get something done. And we talked about this the other night, Chris, what Monty Lee needs to do besides his high school recruiting. He hasn't leaned heavily on transfers. He hasn't leaned heavily on junior college players, but that's the quick fix, and he's got to go to quick fix mode. That is what, after South Carolina had its bad season under Kingston and did not make the NCAA tournament, he hit the junior college, he and his staff hit the junior college route really hard and brought in a lot of junior college players, and they have benefited from that because those guys are contributing in a positive way.
Well, there's so much good junior college baseball around the Southeast and even in our state with Florence Darlington Tech that I don't necessarily believe that's a bad option for Monty going and moving forward. But he was adamant last night. He was posed the question, what would you tell Tiger fans about the future of this program after such a disappointing season? First losing season. Clemson fans are probably tired of hearing this already since 1957. But he said, I'll tell you this, we've got back-to-back top 10 recruiting classes if they can keep them together because of the draft. But they do have a lot of talent in the pipeline. They've got guys, virtually everybody that we saw play last night can come back next season. Bryce Teodosio was saying that he's still mulling his options and will make an announcement sometime in July once the draft process goes through in the whole 9 yards. So, but you look at every team around the country, the team that ran out and played last night or last week or whenever your last game was, you can bring all those guys back. And I think Clemson's got enough talent right now. They just maybe a couple of pieces. The biggest concern watching them play much of this season, the biggest concern, though, is that pitching staff. They've got to correct some problems on that pitching staff. And that, to me, is where they lacked being a really, really good team to an average or below average team, which they turned out to be.
Yeah, not having Matt Clark basically for the last month of the season didn't help because that's a key arm missing from your bullpen. Wofford trying to make a rally here against Western Carolina. It's end of 7. They've pulled to within 9-5. Scored 2 in the bottom of the 6th, 1 in the bottom of the 7th. So the Terriers are down 9-5. Unfortunately, North Greenville went down to Wingate 6-4, falling to 33-12. Let's update some other baseball over at the ACC tournament. Georgia Tech and Louisville, and I believe that game is now tied up. I think Georgia Tech got a homer. They sure did. Sure did, Shirley. Bottom of the 8th, Georgia Tech and Louisville now 6-6 over in Charlotte. Also, we have got at the SEC, we're in between games there. They should be cranking up here pretty soon. And it's just to recap there. You had Ole Miss shutting out Georgia 4-0. Tennessee beat Mississippi State 12-2. Alabama and Florida. The next game up, and they should be getting underway, if not underway already. Right on the verge of getting underway there. Are they underway?
Excuse me. Yes, that game's about halfway through. As a matter of fact, they're in the 5th inning. I'm watching it here on the SEC Network, and they are scoreless in the 5th.
Well, then I didn't miss anything.
No, you have not missed a run-scoring play as of yet.
All right, so they are scoreless in the fifth, and Florida's got 5 hits and Alabama's got 3. I bet you they have a huge crowd at the Hoover Met. If you're watching it on the SEC Network, can you tell what kind of crowd they have?
I just got a pan of the area behind home plate, and there's some empty seats there. So I'm guessing maybe work day, bad start time. I don't know, but it's not the overflow, or at least I haven't seen it. Maybe if they give us a better shot of the stadium.
That has never stopped Alabama fans before. I mean, I've been there when Alabama's had good teams, and there's 10,000 Alabama fans, and maybe 8,000. That place can seat, if you pack everybody in, 10, 12,000 on a good day. But I've seen Alabama fans really pack that place. Major League Baseball this afternoon. Blue Jays shut out the Yankees first of 2-0. Rays over the Royals 7-2. Nationals beat the Reds 5-3 in 10. The Brewers over the Padres 6-5. Indians beat the Tigers 5-2. Cubs beat the Pirates 5-3 and probably had, I don't know, is it the greatest play of all time in Major League Baseball? I mean, seriously. Folks, if you haven't seen this play, you need to go see this play. You need to go watch the video. I'm telling you, they say if you watch a baseball game every day, you'll see something you've never seen before. This is something I've never seen before, will never see again, probably has never happened. But the short story is that Javier Baez of the Cubs was at the plate with 2 outs and a runner on second. He hit a pretty sharp ground ball to third. Third baseman throws to first. All the first baseman has to do is step on the bag. The throw drew him off the bag and a little bit up the first baseline. So Baez hits the brakes and starts to backpedal. And the first baseman, all he had to do was go step on first. Remember, there were 2 outs. He totally lost everything and started racing Baez back to home plate, trying to tag him. Didn't have to tag him. All he had to do was step on the bag. And Baez races back towards home plate, doesn't touch home plate, but sort of gets into the batter's box area. And all the while, the runner from second has rounded third. He comes home to score. And meantime, Baez turns around, runs back to first. The second baseman's too far away from first. Throw down to first was late, and Baez is safe at first. So the runner scored from second. Baez gets to first, and it's the most incredible play you'll ever see, Pat.
So Baez actually ended up all the way at second because then there was an overthrow at
That's
first.
right. There was an overthrow, yeah.
Then there was an overthrow at second, and he considered going to third, but they had that base covered. And it's worth pointing out, Javi Baez has had the nickname El Mago, which translates from Spanish to English as the magician since he was a kid, because he has become known for doing seemingly supernatural things on the baseball field. This is nothing new for him, but it looked like we were watching a bit of a little league game out there. It was fantastic to watch.
So I wonder how they scored that. Did you see how they scored that? Was it scored? I guess maybe you still get an error. Baez reaches on an error because it was a bad throw to first.
My guess is, Phil, he probably reaches on. Yeah, he would have to. I was thinking fielder's choice because they actually go home to try and get the runner out at home. So there is a ball delivered to home. It was late. But Javier Baez should get no credit for this whatsoever. It was a remarkable play, but remarkably bad defense. Yeah. All the first baseman had to do was step on the bag at first or just hold the ball after the ball pulled him off the bag, and you've got runners at first and second and no harm done.
Yeah.
It was a great play and smart heads-up base running by Baez.
Will Craig was the first baseman.
Ridiculously bad defense. You should never see a play like you mentioned.
Of course, it is the Pirates. Now, remember, they're playing the Pirates.
The Braves did score 20 against them last week.
So
it is true, but still,
don't be surprised.
That should never, ever happen in a Major League Baseball game. Never.
No. What else should never happen? Clemson should never have a losing baseball season, Chris.
No, they should not. And this was one of the more disappointing seasons, I am sure, in a long, long time. Kudos, though, to the Clemson fan base. They showed up in droves last night to cheer on the Tigers and sort of will them to an 11-5 win to close out the season last night. And afterwards, head coach Monty Lee, after wrapping up his thoughts about the game versus Georgia Tech and also thanking the fans for showing up, he was asked several different ways. How do you fix what happened? What exactly happened? And can you pinpoint what went wrong? in 2021?
I think it's just about playing complete baseball. I think we've had some teams here in the past that would play complete baseball for 9 innings, and if we had a lead, we got better as the game went on defense and on the mound. We'd find a way to score late and hold the lead. You know, some of the better teams that I've had, that was one of the signatures of those teams is we finished the game stronger than we started. And for some reason, we had a lot of games this year where we had a lead with 9 outs, 6 outs to go, and we couldn't find a way to keep the lead. So, you know, part of it, I think, is just the pressure of having failed in that situation several times before. You know, the pressure that the players put on them. You know, part of it is maybe going over those things a little bit too much on my part as a coach. But you know, I can't necessarily put my finger on it right at this moment, but I do know we were in a position to win a lot of games this year that we didn't, where you know, we lost by 1 run or 2 runs late or something happened late. You know, but we just got to do a better job of being able to get runners in on offense throughout the game. And, you know, instead of scoring 5 runs, score that 6th run or that 7th run that could have been the difference in winning a game, or making a play or making a pitch late in the game when we had a lead. I think that's really what this season boiled down to, is we weren't quite as good as we needed to be in high leverage situations. And, you know, I've got to just do a better job of managing the club and also instilling that toughness that we take a lot of pride in. And, you know, I think this group competed. I think this team got punched in the face a lot. And, you know, it takes a toll on a group of young men who want it so bad. You know, these guys didn't like give up. You know, they didn't quit competing. It wasn't an energy thing. It wasn't a work ethic thing. I think it was really hard on these guys to lose the games in the way that we lost them. You know, we lost several times on walk-offs. I mean, those are brutal, you know, to a group of young men, and, you know, they're all humans. So I think I've just got to find a way to keep their spirits up, to stay positive and not let it affect me as well as their head coach. But you know, we certainly were a team of momentum, good and bad this year. And, you know, we just got to find a way to be more consistent.
Hey, Coach, it's David here. It'd be a 2-part question, I guess. Do you feel like this team, being either the youngest or one of the youngest in the country, that you're close, that you're close to a breakthrough? And then when a team like Clemson misses the postseason, obviously fans, you know, message boards, everybody's active and everybody has an opinion. Do you, you know, fully expect, hey, I'm going to be back next year? And if so, you know, what is your message to the fans about how close you think you are?
Well, I think our club is close. I think if you look at the pieces that we have, and we'll know a little bit more certainly here in about, you know, 4 weeks, 5 weeks in terms of the draft and how the draft will affect our roster for next year. But we've got some really good pieces coming back. We've got a great freshman group. You know, we've got a lot of returners that will be back that we feel very, very good about. And quite honestly, guys, you know, we, even with our senior class, because of the COVID year, they have a year of eligibility left. So depending on what happens in the draft, some of these guys may come back and go to grad school for another year. So I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that some of the guys that have graduated could be back. We'll certainly look at it and see how the draft goes for them and those types of things. So I think we're very, very close. Look, we've got the number 10 recruiting class by some publications, the number 10 recruiting class coming in. And our 2022 class is going to be a top 10 class as well. So if there's one thing that I would tell, you know, Tiger fans, we've got, you know, back-to-back top 10 classes coming in. So we feel very good about the talent level that we have coming in next year and also returning. As far as my status and do I think that I will be back, you know, I don't make those types of assumptions, David, and I think you know why. Because I'm super 100% accountable for this program and how we perform in this program. So, you know, that's going to be determined by, you know, Dan Radakovich and the administration. You know, I'm accountable for what happened this season. So, you know, I certainly hope to be back. If I am back, then we're going to work really hard to turn it around and get these guys ready to have a nice run next year. So we'll get a chance, I'm sure, to meet with the administration, and Dan and I'll get a chance to talk about it.
What's your message going to be to Dan and to the administration when you talk to them about your plans for the future and for the program?
Well, again, guys, I haven't had, a lot of time. I've been focusing on trying to, focusing on our team right now. But I think, like anything, I think you have to look, I'm a believer in track record. I've got 13 years experience as a head coach, and I've put together a lot of successful teams. So I believe in myself. I believe that I can lead this team. I can get this team going in the right direction again. I believe in my toughness. I'm confident that I can coach this team at a high level and can coach baseball at a high level. So I certainly believe in myself, and will certainly express that to Dan. But I've also got to look at all the things that we've got to get better at, and what are the areas that we need to improve upon. And I'm sure that I will, when I get that opportunity, whenever that may be, we'll discuss those things, and I'll certainly get Dan's input as well. He's one of the best athletic directors in the country, and I'm sure that there's some things that he would want to share with me as well. So that's kind of where I am.
Hey, Coach, with the draft being in July, which is later than usual, it's a lot more rounds than last year, but still I think half as many rounds as normal. And you have just about everybody with eligibility coming back. How many guys do you think you'll have more guys that are kind of borderline in terms of their decision to come back, or how much different does that look for you this summer than a typical summer?
Well, I think the thing that you have to understand about the draft and how it's going to be different is 20 rounds. There are no more, rookie ball short season A teams out there. There's only a team at each complex, and those rosters are already there. And then you have low A, high A, double A, triple A. So for some of the college kids that are going to get drafted this year, that means somebody's going to get released out of those clubs that are already playing to make roster room for them. So I do think that there's going to be limited opportunities for some of the older guys in professional baseball. That being said, I don't know how that affects us right now. I'm hoping, like I hope for all the guys who are draft eligible that get scouted, I hope that our guys get an opportunity to play professional baseball and chase the dream of playing in the major leagues, just like I got that opportunity at one time. And that's a lifelong dream for a baseball player, and they have aspirations of playing pro ball. So I hope that they get the opportunity. And if they don't, then I'm certainly going to do everything I can to encourage them to come back to Clemson and play for us here. But they'll have a decision to make at that point. And you guys know how hard it is. I mean, with 11.7 scholarships and roster limitations and all of those things, trying to project it and plan for it, could be fairly tough, but we will get there. So we'll just have to wait and see just kind of what happens, as we get, 4 to 5 weeks from now.
All right, Monty Lee, Clemson baseball coach, comments that he made last night after the loss. The other thing Clemson's got to get figured out, something we've talked about before and something I've often heard as an issue for them, and that is that they do not participate in this program that allows them to bring in players and charge them in-state tuition from out-of-state players. There's a name for that. You might know it, Pat. You might know it, Chris. There's a name for that. I know a lot of schools
Smart.
they compete with, huh?
Smart.
No. There's a there's a name for it. It's an organization, or it's something that the school is a part of, but Clemson's not a part of it. And it allows you to bring in and for baseball, especially when you have to split up the scholarships, and it makes a difference. Makes that scholarship money go a lot farther when you're dealing with the lower tuition side of it. What's that called, Pat? You find it? There's a name for it. And I've heard people talk about Clemson being at a disadvantage over that in baseball recruiting in particular. That being said, I mean, it hadn't stopped them over all these years from winning ACC championships and going to Omaha. But as things have gotten more competitive and the battle for the top talent has become more competitive, you can see where that might be a problem when one school can give a kid more than what you can give. What you got, Pat?
Is that the Was that the academic common market?
Yeah, that's it. Academic common market. Right.
I don't understand why a state school would not be involved in that.
South
I
Carolina's
get it.
in it, but
Yeah,
Clemson
that's
is
sort of
not.
my point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
I
That
think
is something I've often heard some Clemson people talk about as being an issue for them.
And in this knee-jerk reaction world that we live in, Phil, in sports and sports talk, and that's what makes our business so much fun. But we've got to make sure we don't throw the baby out with the bathwater on this. Was this an aberration, a bad season that you just have to throw out and say it's a one-off for Monty Lee, or are there cracks in the foundation that he's got to fix? And I don't know necessarily the answer to that. And that's what Dan Radakovich and Monty Lee, when they meet here in the next couple of weeks, they're going to have to figure that out. Are there systematic problems within the program, or was this just a bad year that happens at Clemson once every 70 seasons? You know, that's where they have to figure this out right now. And I think the latter. I think it was just a bad year. I don't think it's an indication of things to come for Clemson baseball. That program is too rich in tradition, and Monty Lee is too good a baseball coach. He didn't forget how to coach this year. He just had some things that worked against him, injuries early in the year. And then, as he pointed out, and I thought it was a really interesting insight into some of the problems, they couldn't protect leads. They would have multiple leads going into the last 7, 8, seventh, eighth, and ninth innings, if for whatever reason just couldn't finish. And that goes back to the pitching problems. I think if you had to circle one problem that Clemson had more than anything else this year, is the pitching staff was inconsistent. And I think Tiger fans probably don't want to hear this, but this may just be a bad season. It happens. And now if next year is the same way, then we've got another story and something else to chew upon. But I just think this was one bad year, and Monty will get this fixed.
All right, updating Wofford Western. Western now 12-5, top of the 8th. They've come back with 3 runs in the 8th. Louisville, Georgia Tech, 6-6, bottom of the 9th. Georgia Tech's going to get a chance to walk it off here if they can, just getting ready to go. In the bottom of the 9th, 6-6 there. Presbyterian has beaten Campbell, 7-2. That's in the Big South. And coming up, you've got Upstate. Upstate will be playing Gardner-Webb, 7 o'clock. Other game there. And SEC tournament, Florida has taken a 1-0 lead, bottom of the 6th on Alabama. And North Greenville has lost its game, as we mentioned, to Wingate, 6-4 earlier. Mount Olive beat Pembroke 7-6. So you're up to date there. Pat, what you got?
Just to add to the academic common market, I pulled up an article from the Greenville News from 2019. So a few of these statistics may be slightly dated, but so in baseball, you get 11.7 scholarships to spread amongst a roster of 35 players. Obviously, a huge difference between that and sports such as football. Also, Clemson University annual tuition, again, this is 2019, out of state, $37,000 roughly, in-state, $15,000 and change. Huge difference. Also, it looks like between 2015 and 2018, so just in those 4 calendar or academic years, 15 student athletes within the Clemson baseball program benefited from that program, including Seth Beer, who's from Illinois. So you got to think, they would not have ever had that talent of Seth Beer, who's one of the greatest players to walk through there in the last decade, 20 years. That's significant, looking at a team being ranked in the top 25 to maybe not even reaching the postseason.
All right, very good. I just heard from Mike. He apologizes. We'll get him tomorrow night at 6:30. Got caught up with some stuff. He's probably keeping a close watch on that Georgia Tech game as that heads down the stretch. Update the PGA Tour. Brought to you by the Players Club here in downtown Columbia. Charles Schwab Challenge in Fort Worth. Of course, if you're playing in Texas, you know who's going to be on the leaderboard. Jordan Spieth, 7 under 63. He just needs, everywhere he goes, his caddy just needs to tell him, you're in Texas. You know, he might be in Minnesota, but you're in Texas. Just close your eyes and think about Texas. It's so big. It's such a big state. It covers everywhere. You're in Texas. He is tied with Sergio Garcia, 7 under 63. Eric Compton, Jason Kokrak, 5 under 65 for those two. Then some of the others, Patrick Reeds at 2 under 68. Doc Redmond, former Tiger, 68. Kyle Stanley, 69. Zalatoris is 69. Kevin Kisner, 1 under 69. Morikawa, 1 under 69. Scott Brown +1 playing the last. Phil Mickelson, hello, Thank you, PGA. He's 3 over, 73. Matthew Neesmith, 73. Lucas Glover, 74. Kuchar, 74. And Lee Westwood, 75. Top of the hour break. Coming back, Taylor Edwards, USC. Football talk coming up.
By the way, before we do what's supposed to happen here, thank you for pushing the button. I thank you. Programming thanks you. America thanks you.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring Sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters. More details are emerging about the gunman who shot and killed 9 people at the rail yard where he worked in San Jose, California, before killing himself.
A Biden administration official tells the AP Sam Cassidy spoke of hating his workplace while he was detained by customs officers after a 2016 trip to the Philippines. Sheriff Lori Smith tells the AP Cassidy was prepared and deliberate.
It appears to us at this point that he said to one of the people there, "I'm not going to shoot you." And then he shot other people.
The source says Cassidy had a memo book that had notes on how he hated the Santa Clara Valley Transportation Authority, and he had books on terrorism. But when asked in 2016 whether he had issues with people at work, he said no. I'm Ed Donahue.
The price tag of President Biden's soon-to-be unveiled budget for the next year is $6 trillion. White House correspondent Greg Clugston reports.
The budget proposal would fund the president's ambitious plans for infrastructure and social spending, along with major new investments in domestic cabinet agencies. And even though Mr. Biden proposes higher taxes for corporations and high-income people, the budget deficit for next year would be nearly $2 trillion. He argues this is the time to invest, while his critics label him a tax and spend president. Greg Clugston, Washington.
The head of NATO says the government and armed forces of Afghanistan are strong enough to stand on their own feet without international troops to back them. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg said at some stage it has to be the Afghans that take full responsibility for peace and stability in their own country. NATO took charge of security efforts in Afghanistan in 2003, 2 years after a U.S.-led coalition ousted the Taliban. On Wall Street, the Dow by 141 points. More at townhall.com.
Tell me why Relief Factor is so successful in lowering or eliminating pain. I'm often asked that question. Pete and Seth Talbot, the father and son founders of Relief Factor, tell me they believe our bodies were designed to heal. The doctors who formulated Relief Factor selected the 4 best ingredients, 100% drug-free ingredients that each help your body deal with inflammation. Order the 3-week quick start now. Discounted to only $19.95 to see if it will work for you too. Call 800-500-8384. ReliefFactor.com.
Having your own home is awesome, but it's also a lot of work. The good news, finding help for your projects is easier than ever. Introducing Angie, the app that puts all your home care needs at your fingertips. Need a pro to fix that emergency leak? Maybe find someone to build a deck, or even set your seasonal tasks on autopilot. Angie can handle all that and more. Expert pros, hundreds of home projects, clear pricing, and the easiest way to book and pay in seconds. This is Angie, your home for everything home. Download the app today.
The U.S. economy is rebounding from the pandemic, with some economists forecasting the strongest annual gain since the 1950s.
The Commerce Department's reporting that the U.S. economy grew at a robust rate, 6.4% in the first 3 months of this year. The introduction of vaccines for the coronavirus and nearly $3 trillion in government support have been aiding the recovery from last year's pandemic recession. Spending by consumers grew at a sizzling rate of 11.3%, but that was offset by a decline in U.S. exports. Economists believe that the gross domestic product could top 10% in the current quarter. The Commerce Department also reported that durable goods orders dropped unexpectedly in April. A shortage of computer chips is disrupting auto production. Jennifer King, Washington.
Ford is recalling nearly 205,000 Transit Connect vans in the U.S. and Canada. The recall is to fix a problem that can stop the shift lever from moving the transmission to the correct gear. News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters in Washington.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. We're clear, but not very cool. A low of 69 overnight. Tomorrow, one more day of this scorching May weather. A high of 96, a mix of sun and clouds. Now for the weekend, Saturday, we cool down a little bit. A high of 87 with a 20% chance of a sprinkle. While on Sunday, it's a spring-like 78 as our high with more clouds than sun. I'm Kevin Cohn with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
Come on, hit it. Do it. You know you want to.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil, Chris, and Pat with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
All right, we're back, and Taylor Edwards of USC is going to be joining us in just a moment. We're in the mood for football, so let me pass along the football information that came out today from, the various television networks, but involving South Carolina and Clemson and Coastal Carolina related to game times, if you haven't noticed this already. So the Gamecocks, Eastern Illinois will be a 7 o'clock kickoff. That's going to be streamed through the ESPN streaming outlets. The East Carolina game up there will be a nooner on ESPN2. The Georgia game under the light, 7 o'clock on ESPN. So if the Gamecocks can win those first two, which they should, I am predicting. Don't give me a break. 4 games as the over-under. You got to be kidding me. That's a joke. They go to Georgia 2-0, and that should be a pretty wild scene there between the hedges. Be a hot night in Athens. Looking forward to that. As far as Clemson, of course, the Georgia game in Charlotte previously announced 7:30 ABC. Their September 11th home game against South Carolina State, 5 o'clock on the ACC network. September 18th, home against Georgia Tech, 3:30 on ABC or ESPN. October 15th at Syracuse, 7 o'clock on ESPN. Shame on the ACC. Shame on you for playing football games on Friday nights.
Agreed.
Shame on you. Coastal Carolina, September 2nd home game, previously announced against the Citadel, 7 o'clock on ESPN Plus. Pay your $6.95 a month to get that. September 10th, home Kansas, 7:30 on the Deuce. September 18th at Buffalo, noon. Enjoy that, Chris. Noon on the Deuce or the U. October 7th at Arkansas State, 7:30 ESPNU. October 20th at Appalachian, 7:30 on ESPN2. And October 28th, home to Troy, 7:30 on ESPNU.
Two quick things about Coastal schedule, Phil. First off, the trip to Buffalo, I would love to take it now. The high in Conway tomorrow forecasted to be 101 degrees. Ouch. And here we sit and talk football here before we even get to June. And secondly, Coastal's going to have a lot of midweek games throughout their season now because I guess coming off this past season, they're going to get some national exposure playing several of their Sunbelt games during the midweek. And the atmosphere at Appalachian State for a home football game up there is as good as you'll ever find. That's a really, really hard road trip for Coastal.
Oh, yeah. And they're going to be good, Appalachian. That's going to be a heck
always
of a game.
are.
I just don't like college games on Friday nights. I think
I got no
would
problem
the colleges like it if the NFL started scheduling games on Saturday? I mean, you got to take care of the people that feed you. High schools feed the colleges, or they have over the years. Let's see if that's going to change in recruiting. We welcome the Director of Player Personnel for South Carolina, Taylor Edwards, new to the state and first time on Sports Talk. Great to have you with us. How are you?
Man, I'm doing great. How are you guys?
We're good. We're good. And I know that June is going to be hot in a lot of different ways, the weather and recruiting. These players, man, they're dying to get on the road and see you guys in person. You guys are taking advantage of it. It looks like you're lining up a very big June for visits and camps.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm sure I probably speak on behalf of most universities around the country that have been chomping at the bit to get young prospects on campus for a long time now. And, you know, we're super excited here. We got a beautiful facility to showcase. A lot of these young men and their families have not seen our facility in person. They've seen videos, they've seen pictures, but it doesn't do it justice until you see it with your own two eyes. So super excited. We got 3 windows of official visits that we've set up, 2 weekends and one midweek set. So we're fired up, man. It's going to be a busy month, but it'll be worth it in the end. Hopefully we roll into some vacation time in July with a few more commitments than we've got now. We'll be feeling pretty good about this 2022 recruiting class.
Is it the goal of yours and Coach Beamer and the rest of the recruiting side of things to get the bulk of your class committed in June?
Obviously we feel good about the guys that are coming on campus in terms of the caliber of player, caliber of young man that they are. But in addition to that, I mean, we feel good about where we are in the recruiting process with each one of these guys. I feel like we've done a fantastic job of rolling out the best that we possibly can with a couple of different ways to interact with these young men over the course of the last 5 or 6 months that we've been here. So I mean, I think, is it our goal? At the end of the day, that everything's all about timing. So we'll see how it pans out. I think we're sitting at 4 commitments right now for 22. I'd love to say we're close to double digits, if not just north of double digits, rolling into the month of July.
Yeah, you feel good about that.
I do. Yeah, I think we'll be. That'll be somewhere in the territory that we'll be in. And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong in July, but I do. I feel strongly about where we're at with a couple of guys, and like I said, all these guys are at the top of our board, and we feel great about them as player and as people. So if they're ready to jump in, we're ready to take them.
Taylor Edwards with us here on Sports Talk. Not asking you to compare and contrast your approach, your staff's approach to the previous one, but when a kid comes to South Carolina now for an official visit with this new coaching staff in place, new people, maybe new ideas, what will they experience? How will you try and convince a young man to come join a program coming off a 2-win season?
Well, yeah, and to take it a step further, I mean, 2, and then I guess it was 3 before that, so 5 the last 2 years. I think there's definitely more than one way to skin a cat, right? And at the end of the day, we are who we are. Coach Beamer is who he is. This staff is about what they are about, and like I said, we've got a great new tool in recruiting in terms of this facility, and we feel great about what we have to offer, not only athletically, but from an academic standpoint, with our graduation rate being right up under Vanderbilt in the conference. And, our degree means something, certainly, when you graduate from the University of South Carolina. So, we think we have a lot to offer. I don't like to really compare myself to not only previous staffs, but even staffs at other places currently, because I think everybody does it differently. They do it their own way, and you do it the way that works best for you. And, I feel strongly about Coach Beamer's vision and mission for this program. And, I couldn't imagine somebody better leading this place. And he's put together a great group of men and our 10 assistant coaches. I'm very biased when I say that our recruiting department is one of the best in the country, I feel like, in terms of personnel. We've got the greatest social media and design department in the country. And literally, I don't know that you can go anywhere else and get more as a student athlete in terms of resources on down the line. So, again, I feel good about what we're going to offer and roll out to these young men here in about 4 or 5 days, and we're going to see what happens.
Yeah. When you were doing your job as director of personnel, I mean, to me, it's like being the general manager of an NFL team, I guess, except you don't get to spend money on players. How do you do your job? When you look at film and you go to the coaches and you say, like this guy, don't like this guy. How does it work at South Carolina now, the process for deciding this guy we want to offer, this guy we want to pass on?
Yeah, in 2021, most recruiting departments are probably set up very similar. The way we kind of have things structured, if you think of it in 3 separate entities, but all under one umbrella in recruiting, and we're set up, you got personnel, you've got the on-campus portion of our operation, and then you've got the I call it the marketing, but it's the social media, it's the videos, the content that we're pushing out to individual recruits and their families, and things that we're using to sell our current players our coaching staff, and our facilities. So that all goes into that marketing, under that marketing umbrella, if you will. But like I said, it all is grouped under one umbrella. And I kind of look at myself as the person that I have eyes on all three sets. Okay. From a personnel standpoint, I help drive the identification and the evaluation piece, helping us build that recruiting board, rank that recruiting board, know what's up there, always trying to find more guys to go on that board, and then trying to help our coaches manage and balance and put ourselves in the best position with each guy on that board based off of where they fall in our eyes from an evaluation standpoint. And then obviously you've got the on-campus portion. I work closely with Jessica Jackson, who are our director of on-campus, and she does a fantastic job of the organizational piece, getting all the official, unofficial visits set up. We work together on the plan. We're obviously on the same page as Coach Beamer on that, and just making sure that we're dotting all the I's and crossing the T's. So when guys do come on this campus, whether it's officially or unofficially, they're getting the most out of their 48 hours, or they're getting the most out of their visit. Because, you know, as you guys probably are well aware, sometimes kids don't have the resources to get here, but maybe more than one time. So you got to maximize every opportunity that you have with them, especially when you get a chance to do it in person. And then obviously, our social media and graphics team, it speaks for themselves. But, you know, just whether it be a new idea here and there, or just making sure that we're on the same plan with what we got going on and who we're sending out contact to, so on and so forth. Just working with those guys to make sure we're all on the same page.
Sure.
Taylor Edwards, the Director of Player Personnel for USC, joining us here tonight on Sports Talk. And Taylor, Phil wrote a recruiting story a couple of weeks back, and he used the term players will be swarming to campuses in June. And I'm curious, from the recruiting standpoint, with these upcoming visits, do you guys try and bring, as you talked about the recruiting board, do you try and bring all your top flight recruits to one visit? That way you can spend a lot of time with them. Do you blend them together? And if so, how do you take maybe a recruit who's a 1 or 2 star and not sort of give them the impression that they're not as important as, say, one of the top flight guys off your board?
No, our staff has done a fantastic job the last month and a half or so, since we've really known that this thing's going to open up since the middle of April, of just making sure that every name up there is getting an invite to camp, an invite to come visit us unofficially. And then obviously your guys that fall into that, what we call offer take category, are we're trying to get those guys set up on those official visits. And as I alluded to earlier, we've got 3 48-hour windows, one of those being a midweek visit, because it works better for some kids and their families. And then we've got 2 weekends set aside that we'll host some kids. And it's all circumstantial. It's based off of their availability. Obviously, they may be geographically a little bit further away to where they can't come during the fall. So we target those guys, trying to get them up here. Obviously, some kids have made it very clear to us that they're going to make a decision before the start of their senior year, which a lot of times that happens now, especially with the way the recruiting process is and the early signing period in December. So we everything, like I said, everything's based off of the circumstances of the individual. And we try to just make sure that we're getting every kid on here. Obviously, each and every year, you don't want to miss on a prospect, especially in state or in your footprint, as we call it. So, you know, we do our due diligence trying to get every kid on here so we get the chance to get them to camp and get a live in-person evaluation, because those are invaluable. And hopefully you don't, if you're going to miss every year, but hopefully you limit the number of misses.
Who in your organization keeps eyes on the transfer portal, and how you guys were active in the portal early on, of course, because you were trying to get people in, especially for spring practice, and fill a lot of holes. Will you continue to be, as this program grows, do you want to continue to be as active in the transfer portal as you were when you first got here?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it was funny. Coach Tanner, one of the first conversations I had with him, he said, "Hey man, go load up on them older guys so you can win sooner."
Yeah.
And instead of having to develop, and we were laughing about it. But you know, there's a lot of merit to that, and a lot of programs build their success around older guys. But we believe in our ability to evaluate and develop talent here, and you know, we're gonna recruit the best player for the best scenario, obviously. But with that being said, you know, as you alluded to earlier, you use the term general manager, and by no means do I fulfill the role of a general manager each and every day. Those guys, I wouldn't be doing that role. I'd be doing that role an injustice if I called myself that. But it is a slight term just because of the way things are set up now, and we kind of view that transfer portal as your free agent wire. In the NFL, you're constantly monitoring that. It's a little bit of a tricky situation. Very rarely does a kid go into the portal without some idea of where maybe the direction he's heading. So, you get phone calls every day from different people, and you obviously are aware of the positions on your team that have the most immediate needs. So you're always looking for an older prospect there, whether it be a junior college prospect or a transfer portal prospect. So, we monitor it. We've got, that's a collective effort. We do it by position most of the time. It's between myself as the DPP. Drew Hickson, our assistant director of player personnel, is heavily involved in that process as well. And then we've got a great team in the back with some recruiting assistants that stay on top of that on a positional basis. So it's kind of all hands on deck. I mean, with the way the climate of college football is now, I don't know that there's any perfect science to it at this point. We just kind of we go at it. We know what positions we're looking for, and we heavily monitor those positions. And then obviously you get leads here and there, so that always helps to try to identify guys sooner rather than later.
Taylor Edwards of USC Football joining us here tonight on Sports Talk. And Taylor, dovetailing off that question from Phil about the transfer portal, do you envision a time, and maybe it's easier in basketball because the roster sizes are small, but do you envision a time in college football where where teams will only recruit the transfer portal as opposed to getting high school recruits in?
I don't ever see that being the case. I really don't. I think high school football is too invaluable. Again, it's really hard to build the culture and really hard to instill your mindset, if you will, with a bunch of older guys that are coming from different places. So, I think at the end of the day, the core of your recruiting classes, the core of your team are going to be high school prospects that you have found and you've brought into this program through the recruiting process. And that's really where you're going to build around. A lot of times you're going to find that the transfer portal is used to fill an immediate need with an older guy that is looking to come in and provide that need early on for a program. And more times than not, that older guy is going to be looking to move on to the next level, hopefully, if he's productive enough sooner before later. Those guys want to come in, play, and kind of get going. And from a personnel standpoint, a coaching staff standpoint, we don't ever sign a guy to come in and stay around for 3 or 4 years. You sign a guy to come in, do his deal, and then move on. So at the end of the day, you're going to build your program and your culture around high school kids that love the game of football and eat, breathe, and sleep the way you think and the way you function within your walls of your facility every day.
Last couple things, we'll let you go. One thing about Shane Beamer, and I can hear it from you and the other coaches, the positivity factor that you guys are preaching, and that's good. I mean, you're putting out a very positive spin on South Carolina. Your social media department is doing the same thing. How energized do you get in recruiting going up against, say, Clemson, Georgia, Alabama for the same player, knowing that player can make a huge difference in a building program like yours, or will be just another great player at an established program like theirs? But you get a little extra zip in the step there, trying to get that player away from those established powers.
Yeah, I mean, you always try to fight fire with fire, right? And those programs, I've got the utmost respect for Coach Smart, Coach Saban. I mean, Coach Sweeney at Clemson. I mean, those guys have done a fantastic job. I mean, there's no arguing the success that those programs and those head coaches have had. But we believe every single day that we can be just as successful, if not more, than those guys. So you always try to combat the positivity that they have with even more positivity. And, it's easy to sell. I tell people all the time, it's easy to sell something that you believe in, right? Mm-hmm. And one thing I can say about Coach Beamer is he truly believes in this. He believes in this university. He believes in this athletics department. He believes in this football program, and he believes in the city of Columbia. And you can tell by the way that he talks about things, the way that he approaches each and every day, that hard hat mentality. He comes to work. He doesn't complain or gripe about things. It's just, hey, let's get it done. Let's find a way to make a change. There's no excuses. Let's just do what we got to do to get it done. And yeah, I mean, obviously you want to sell playing time, but at the end of the day, I think we got some good pieces in place on our current roster. So it may not be a situation that a guy's going to come in here and start as a freshman, because we've got good players. We've got to continue to build on those players. We got to continue to develop those players. And then we got to go out and get the best fit for us in recruiting. And, I think if you truly believe in what you're doing every day, like Coach Beamer does, and it's going to trickle throughout the staff, but then it also is it's like a ripple effect. Everybody that comes into our building on an official or unofficial visit, everybody that watches a video on Twitter, everybody that hears him speak at an event in Greenville, South Carolina, they're going to feel the passion and they're going to feel the genuine nature of what he is as a human being. And at the end of the day, I think that wins. And you got to do the little things, and we're going to do the little things, but he truly believes in what this place can provide to a young man and his family. And it's a ripple effect across our building. And I think when you've got everybody on the same page, as I feel as though we do, we got the right. I'm trying to use my knowledge. I'm trying to find my words here, but we got the right equation, I guess, to be successful. It's just we've got to keep plugging along. I mean, everybody wants to play for the Giant, and everybody wants to win the trophies and win the rings. But you know what? Those places weren't always winning trophies and winning the rings. They scratched and clawed and got there, and that's what we got to do.
Yeah. Last thing. So when you hear that Vegas has set the over/under on wins on the season for you guys at 4, I mean, what kind of reaction did that have around the building? Is that one of those things where you guys use that to help fire you up and say, hey, we'll show those guys, or you laugh because maybe you know something a little more than the rest of us know?
Well, I guess my best answer on that is there's a reason they keep the lights on in Vegas, right?
Yeah.
There's probably a lot of people that think we're going to lose more than 4. There's a lot of people that think we're not going to win more than 4. There's probably a lot of people that think there's no way that we can win more or lose more than 4.
Yeah.
So, or lose more than 6. So with that being said, I mean, there's going to be some winners and some losers. I look at our schedule, and God forbid I ever try to predict what we're going to do. I think if you want my honest opinion on it, which I assume you do because you wouldn't ask me on your show, at the end of the day, if we go out and play South Carolina football, we play hard, we play mistake-free, and we get after it, I think we've got enough talent to do what's necessary to get us where we want to go. And at the end of the day, I think in year one, a bowl game is what's in our sights. I know our players feel the same way. Just echoing a lot of what Coach Beamer said in end of the year meetings. I think the vibe and the pulse around our program from our locker room couldn't be better right now. And I think a lot of guys are eager to get out there and prove to whether it be Vegas or Joe Schmo, who's betting on Vegas, that we can win more than 4 wins or more than 4 games this fall.
Hey, we thank you so much for being with us, and going to be a lot of fun watching you guys do your thing in June. So good luck with all of that, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Absolutely. I enjoyed it. Anytime you want me on, I'd love to come. You guys do a great job, and I respect all of you for the work that you put in. And, I know, Phil, when you and I were talking about doing this, I'm all for helping you guys out any way that I can. So constant communication is always the best with me. Mm-hmm. And don't hesitate to reach out, and go Gamecocks.
Thank you very much. Maybe we'll hit you back up in June as things are falling into place. We'll get your take on how things are going.
Well, wait until July when I'm sitting on the beach. I'll get a lot better.
Okay. All right. We'll put you in touch with Jimmy Smith down there at Paulie's and get you a good place.
Hey, I need that. So go ahead and send that over.
Okay. You got it. Thank you now.
All right. Well, y'all take care.
You too, man. Thank you very much. All right. Taylor Edwards, USC Director of Player Personnel / General Manager, I guess. And full disclosure, just so you know, I have reached out to Clemson and asked for interviews with Clemson, and they have thanked us but said no, there'll be no interviews coming from Clemson here this summer. So South Carolina has been more than willing to oblige not just us but others who have reached out for interviews. So We appreciate that. And we'll continue to talk to the Gamecocks as long as we can get people available. Love to talk to the coordinators as well. So appreciate Coach Edwards coming on with us and kind of sharing the new approach, the new perspective over there at South Carolina. And it is beat the positive drum is what they're doing. Everything is the best in the country, and everything is going to be great. And just keep working and putting the pieces together. That's kind of their approach, and that's where you have to go when you're really kind of building from the ground up, which is what Beamer and company are having to do. Okay, well, we will have Clemson golf coach Larry Penley. That's not football related. I was talking football related. Golfer good. Larry Penley coming up from Arizona.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. We're clear, but not very cool. A low of 69 overnight. Tomorrow, one more day of this scorching May weather. A high of 96, a mix of sun and clouds. Now for the weekend, Saturday, we cool down a little bit. A high of 87 with a 20% chance of a sprinkle. While on Sunday, it's a spring-like 78 as our high with more clouds than sun. I'm Kevin Cohn with your On Point local weather.
As an organ donor, your story doesn't have to end. The good in you can live on. In fact, you could save up to 8 lives and restore sight and health for many more. Sign up right now online as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. You'll be happy you did. And just maybe someone else will be happy too. Go to organdonor.gov. It saves lives. U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. President Biden's $6 trillion budget proposal for next year would run a $1.8 trillion federal government deficit, despite a raft of new tax increases on corporations and high-income people designed to pay for his ambitious spending plans. The whopping deficit projections are being driven by Biden's costly plans for infrastructure and social spending, along with major new investments in domestic cabinet agencies. The budget incorporates the administration's 8-year, $2.3 trillion infrastructure plan and its $1.8 trillion American Families Plan. It also adds details on his $1.5 trillion request for annual operating appropriations for the Pentagon and domestic agencies. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 141 points. The Nasdaq dropped 1. This is SRN News.
Are you ready to make your money work for you rather than you working for your money? Dave Ramsey here. Go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union, serving the Midlands since 1936. Palmetto Citizens is not a mega bank, so you can count on good old-fashioned customer service and the profits going back to you. Plus, they care about your financial well-being. With 14 locations, check them out today at palmettocitizens.org, federally insured by the NCUA.
So I spotted some cracks in the house, and rather than stress all over it, I just reached out. I called the folks at TerraTech to come on out and take a look. And they did come out, and they explained to me that fortunately, I wasn't looking at foundation failure, just normal settling in the home. That was a big, big relief. Now, I got to know these folks, and now I'm proud to enthusiastically suggest TerraTech as your source for foundation stabilization, for building or repairing retaining walls, so much more. I've been out to several of their job sites to see these repairs. It is awesome to see how they restore a home's value and give you back your peace of mind at the same time. I believe in their process. Listen, TerraTech is family owned. They're local, and that matters. For 38 plus years, matters so much to me. It should also to you when you're talking about your biggest financial asset, your home. So take a look at the house. See if you have any issues. You don't want to ignore cracks in the walls. And if you find any, get in touch with TerraTech. Online, it's terratechinc.com or call them 791-8888.
Hi, I'm Matt. And I'm Mike. What business issues are keeping you up at night? Join us and other business leaders on The Brainstorm Monday mornings at 9 a.m., where we discuss topics that will help you take your business to the next level.
Hi, this is Marcia Klayman.
And I'm Karen Pickard. We're your hosts for The Positive Point on Aging.
We'll talk about aging gracefully and senior care every Tuesday morning from 8:30 to 9 o'clock a.m.
Join us right here on The Point for The Positive Point on Aging.
Brought to you by Oakley Village of Lexington.
Hi, honey. Could you drop by True Pharmacy on the way home and pick up another bottle of CBD for me?
Of course. I sure am glad that the CBD is helping you.
Yes, on my last visit to True Pharmacy, the pharmacist answered all my questions about CBD, got me started on a good dose, and I'm feeling much better.
I sure am glad we found True Pharmacy. Their staff is awesome, and they always take the time to care. True Pharmacy, located on Charleston Highway in West Columbia and Devine Street across from Bureau High School.
Have you fallen behind on your taxes and might be facing IRS penalties? Have wage garnishments, levies, or liens? Have unfiled tax returns? You want someone local and qualified. Don't fall for those national spots. Meet with me, Teresa, at Capital City Professional Services, and let me help you through your tax maze. I can help with all your tax resolution issues. There are options to get you back on track. Call Capital City Professional Services, 400-8683. That's 400-8683.
Thanks again to Taylor Edwards for being with us here on Sports Talk. Let's update baseball. Oh, my. Western Carolina putting a thumping on Wofford now. Top of the ninth, 16-5, a 4-run ninth after a 3-run eighth. They go to the bottom of the ninth, 16-5 Western. Louisville with a 7-6 lead on Georgia Tech. They're in the bottom of the 11th. Louisville getting a run in the 11th. Another home run by that home run hitter. Who is that, Chris? Hit all the home runs?
Alex Benelis.
Yeah.
Clemson fans won't forget his name, much like Louisville fans won't forget Caden Grice's name, because Benelis hit 3 home runs, part of that record-shattering 7 home runs that Louisville hit against the Tigers a couple of days ago up in Charlotte.
Gardner-Webb and Upstate in the Big South, they are just getting underway, so they are scoreless. Florida on top of Alabama, top of the 8th, 4-0 in the SEC. And you are up to date on what we're following there. We got recruiting coming up for you in a couple of minutes. Stay tuned for that. Let's go west, young man, out to the land of cacti, deserts, and triple-digit temperatures where they're going to play the NCAA Men's Golf Championship. Same course where they played the women's last week. Let's welcome in Coach Larry Pendley. His team's the number 4 seed of the 30 teams there. They're going to tee off about 3 o'clock Eastern time tomorrow in round 1. Coach, good evening. Good to have you with us. How are you?
I am doing good. I just had a cold shower, and I am trying to recoup and rehydrate from that 6.5-hour practice round we endured today. So other than that, I'm doing great.
How hot was it?
I don't know what the temperature ended up being, but it was so nice when we teed off at about 8 o'clock. And, I mean, it really was nice, but it did not take long.
Mm-hmm.
I think by 9:30, 10 o'clock, you really started to feel it. You know, obviously there's not a cloud in the sky. And by the time we made the turn, I mean, it was you were hunting shade, and it is ridiculously hot. We've been trying to do TrackMan numbers and trying to get the percentages, and there's a huge difference between the 85 degrees and the 105 degrees as how far the ball goes. So, you know, in any afternoon tee times, you're going to get about literally 6, 7, maybe 8% increase in your irons. And that takes a little getting used to. But the golf course is perfect. The greens are good. There's great rough. It's a great Fazio layout. So we're looking forward to having some fun.
It sounds like it. You think the weather becomes a factor, though, besides the extra carry of the ball? I'm talking about on the players, just the mental focus of playing in such extreme heat, and it's a dry heat out there, I know, but you think that becomes a factor with these young guys?
No, I don't think it does for a 21-year-old. I mean, it does for a 62-year-old.
Uh-huh.
It's hard for me to get around, but as long as they hydrate, and we've started hydrating them nights, you know, the night before. We actually started doing it before we left Clemson. So, you know, all that was in preparation for getting out here and knowing that, you know, I had 2 guys today drunk 5 big bottles of Dasani on the front side, and never went to the bathroom. So that shows you it's really coming off of you.
I don't think we've ever had a pee report on our show before, so thank you for delivering that.
You've had one now, so there's not much of it going on, I can promise you. But It is hot. I don't think that'll be a factor for the guys. It's there again, as long as they stay hydrated, they're strong. But you do need to be careful, and you do need to find shade whenever possible.
Sure. So how do you love the golf course? It's beautiful. How does it match up with the talent on your team?
We have to hit fairways. I don't think they're going to cut the rough the entire rest of the week. It's as thick a ryegrass rough as I've seen. The ball kind of sits medium in it, which is kind of tricks you into having a good lie until you go down and hit it. It either comes out dead and goes about halfway to the green, or you catch a flyer and you're 30 yards over the green, and there's really no in between. So you need to hit fairways, and a lot of the holes that's hitting 3-irons, we've got some guys that really hit a good 230, 240 yard stinger 3-iron. Hit that in play. There's some holes where you've got to hit the fairway with driver. But I do really believe that a valuable club this week is going to be that 3-wood. If you can go ahead and hit that 3-wood, make the golf course a little bit shorter, keep that ball in the fairway, you're going to see some good scores because the greens are perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Larry Penley, head golf coach at Clemson, joining us here tonight on Sports Talk, getting ready for the Tigers' participation in the NCAA National Championship Tournament out at Scottsdale, Arizona. And Coach, unless I missed it, I'm scrolling through the Raptor course and looking at all the different holes, and there only appears to be one water hole, which I guess is not unusual out in Arizona. So is it the rough golf course so challenging?
I do think it's the rough, and it will be the hole locations. Fazio did a pretty incredible job of minimizing hole locations on these greens. I mean, they're so slopey, they're so contoured that there are just very few places they can put the hole location. So, the women were here all last week. They're going to have to put some, maybe not so much in medal play, but once you get to match play, you're going to see some crazy hole locations. There's places where you obviously just cannot hit it. But to me, that's a big deal, getting the ball on the low side of the hole or getting it on the correct side of the hole and just keeping it in play. You're right. There is only two. I think there's a hazard area on number 10, right of the fairway and left of the green. And then you've got all that water on 18, and that will come into play for sure.
I was looking at the tee times that you guys drew, and not a bad start tomorrow afternoon, but you've got to turn right around and get up really early on Saturday morning. How difficult is that, especially with the heat, with regards to hydration for your team after they play tomorrow, to quickly get back and be up and on the first tee at 6:30 local time on Saturday?
I think it's a preferred deal myself.
Really?
I like going in the afternoon, and I like getting right back up and flipping. So we go on number 1 tomorrow, and then on Saturday I think we start on number 10. So the 9s will be flopped, but I do like the late early tee times. And then the better you play from then on, the earlier you go. So hopefully we'll get in that 6:10, 6:30 and stay there, because I think that will be the premium time to play this golf course.
So this is it. End of the line. Absolute final tournament. How do you like your team's chances to win the championship?
Well, it's, I keep telling them all the time, the best, I hate to pull a Dabo, but it's, the best is yet to come. The best is yet to come. We haven't seen our best golf this spring, I don't think. I think there were times where, down in Birmingham, it was really good. At the ACCs, at times it was really good. Not so much at all at the regionals. So I'm really looking for us to rebound. I'm looking for us to getting refocused and get that fire and get that desire back. And let's go try to win a golf tournament. And man, all we want to do, we've got 72 holes to prove we're one of the best 8 teams in the country. If we do that, anything can happen in this match play. So really, that's kind of what our goal is right now.
Well, good luck. We're going to have a lot of fun watching from afar, and hopefully catch up with you when you get an opportunity when the round's over, if we're on the air. And hope things go well for you guys, and we'll see how it goes. And thank you, as always, for joining us. Best of luck to you.
I appreciate it, fellas.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Coach.
Good luck.
Bye-bye.
All right, Larry Penley. This is his true swan song. This is the last tournament he'll ever coach, as he's retiring after 38 years at Clemson following the NCAA championships. He's always been great to us, coming on the show, talking college golf, Clemson golf, and always telling you what's on his mind. So we appreciate that, and see if the Tigers can make it happen out there in the desert of Arizona, where, like he said, it's really hot, but he thinks his young guys can handle it. We'll come back and give you the recruiting report here on Sports Talk. That's after this break. Don't go away.
Hey, folks, mortgage rates have dipped to their lowest levels in recent history. And with home values up in many areas, now may be the perfect time to refinance your home. Whether you're looking to lower your monthly payments, free up cash for home improvements, or just pay off your home faster, a quick call to the one and only Stuart Wingo of Ameris Bank could save you money. If you're looking for competitive rates and exceptional service, call Stuart Wingo. 803-319-1777. That's 803-319-1777. You will save money just like I have so many times over the years. You can also visit him, amerisbank.com/Stuart Wingo. Stuart Wingo, the man with the plan for all your mortgage needs.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. I love sports, and I've helped people for over 30 years. Contact me at jim@jimcorbettattorney.com when the insurance company won't pay your claim or you have complicated issues. Some other business causes your business to lose money, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. When you lose a relative and find out you got cut out of a will or don't get what was promised. When you have serious injury, like from a wreck or mishap or on the job, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com.
Life. It has its ups and downs. Sometimes it's little things like hitting every red light or dropping your cell phone. Maybe it's the bills, rent, or pressure at work. But when it comes to the South Carolina Education Lottery, you should never feel like playing will solve everything. The lottery is a game. It's played for fun. So set a dollar amount. Expect not to win and make sure responsibilities, family, friends, and work come first. Visit playresponsiblysc.com.
You're listening to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. We're back in a moment.
Enjoy life to the fullest with tasty peanuts that pack a lot of flavor. When it comes to eating peanuts, the research is clear. Peanuts improve your health. Peanuts, a snack that gives back. Crack some open today for a nutritious, sustainable, and earth-friendly treat. Be sure to stop by your local grocery store produce section to pick up a bag of roasted in-shell peanuts. Brought to you by the South Carolina Peanut Board. Visit aboutpeanuts.com for delicious peanut-based recipes.
The future of golf is waiting for you at the Players Club. Rain, shine, or after dark, you can enjoy the game of golf anytime at Columbia's Indoor Country Club. The Players Club delivers the most realistic golf experience and offers more than 90 championship courses. Play or practice with the same state-of-the-art full-swing simulators used by Tiger Woods and Jordan Spieth. Visit maincoursesc.com to book a bay and become a player today at the Players Club, part of the Main Course, 1626 Main Street in Columbia. There are many things to like about the Carolinas, and one of those is Founders Federal Credit Union Founders Online. The Founders app and using your Founders cards and digital wallets are just some of the perks you'll have at your fingertips. And with over 30 locations, we're always close. Visit RelaxJoinFounders.com or visit one of our office locations to see if you qualify for membership with Founders. Relax with Founders. Services require credit evaluation. Terms and conditions apply. Founders Federal Credit Union is federally insured by NCUA.
Time for the recruiting report here on Sports Talk. Brought to you by our good friends at Seawells. Hey, you know what? Tomorrow might be a good day to get over there for that daily luncheon buffet, 11 to 2. It's very, very good. You're thinking about football as we are tonight. We'll do recruiting in a moment, a little more on some football scheduling. Get your parking pass for South Carolina home games at Seawells. They do have parking spots available, and they're taking your calls on that now. You can go ahead and reserve your parking spot for the season and get that off your list. The number is 803-771-7385, or you can email seawellscatering@gmail.com. seawellscatering@gmail.com. And again, that number, 803-771-7385. And, of course, the best in the catering business, the folks at Seawells. Now that we're getting back to parties, who's going to a party this weekend with a lot of people, Pat? Oh, you are?
I most certainly will be. Especially it's Memorial Day weekend. Got to have a little dogs and burgers by a body of water with friends.
There you go. Well, you got something bigger than that in mind, like an awards banquet, a business luncheon, a wedding reception. Let Seawells handle all the catering for you. Again, that phone number, 803-771-7385. So in recruiting tonight, a couple of guys to talk about. This is good for Clemson, it sounds like. Defensive end Jihad Campbell, 6'4", 220, Sicklerville, New Jersey, IMG Academy in Florida. We talked to him last night. He's going to hit the road in June. Official visits to several schools and an unofficial to Clemson. His family's going to be with him. June 7th, they'll be at Clemson, and they'll spend the next day touring and meeting the coaches for the first time. Leading up, he's been communicating with Clemson quite a bit, talking to Brent Venables, Dabo Sweeney, Todd Bates, and mostly the whole defensive staff, he said. And they're just saying they're all in on him, that he's the main priority, and they want him there. He says the Tiger coaches have done a good job with him. And he said, quote, I'd say they are number one at the top of my board. It's all the communication with the coaches. It's real genuine. So it looks like he's Clemson's to lose at this point when he goes there for a visit. Asked him, is it possible you could commit when you're in for your visit? He said, quote, we'll have to see. We'll have to wait and see. You never know what's going to happen. Okay? So he's got officials to Florida June 4th, Georgia June 18th, and Texas A&M June 25th. He also mentioned Alabama and Ohio State for potential official visits. He's also had Oklahoma, Rutgers, and Penn State in his top 8. Safety Ashton Whitner, 6 feet 185 of Greenville High, has offers from Syracuse, West Virginia, Coastal, Furman, Indiana, Army, Tulane, Penn, Marshall, Howard, Miami of Ohio, Jacksonville State, Princeton, and Akron. From that group, he's communicating the most with Syracuse, West Virginia, Princeton, and Army. He's got official visits with Syracuse June 18th and West Virginia June 25th. And he says those are his top 2 as he approaches the camp and visit month of June. Now, 2 of the camp stops will be USC Clemson, where he hopes to impress the coaches. His camp stop at USC June 11th. Said he talked to Torian Gray a couple of weeks ago. They have not been consistently communicating with him. So he wants to go there and show him what he can do. He likes USC a lot. He was there for the Alabama game in 2019, his first game experience. And Clemson has also been showing enough interest in him to bring him in for a camp look. He visited there for the Florida State game in 2019. And an offer from Clemson, he said, would blow him away. It's a childhood dream, he said. So he's been wanting to play for Clemson since he was about 6. But he hasn't talked a lot to Clemson. He hasn't talked a lot to their coaches. He has talked to some of their recruiters, as he put it. So he knows he's got to go in and show out when he goes there for the camp stop. He can also play corner and nickel. He's going to make camp stops as well at Florida State, Alabama, Auburn, North Carolina. He wants to make a decision the week of his first game in late August. Also, offensive lineman Thomas Johnson of Ainer committed to Coastal Carolina. Also plays defensive end, but going there as an offensive lineman. USC target, defensive end Tomiwa Durajaye, Middletown, Delaware, offered by Vanderbilt. Another USC target, receiver C.J. Smith of Orlando, was offered by Notre Dame. Basketball, 6'5", Louis Duarte, who attends Victory Christian Center School in Charlotte, taking an unofficial to USC June 1st. USC offered last week. USC offered 2024 guard Dell Jones of Arlington, Virginia. And I only mention this because there's local guys involved. Thought it was kind of interesting. Rivals updated their top 100 basketball prospects in the 22 class, and we've got 2 in the top 21 in Columbia. Jazzy Gortman of Keenan is number 13, and Julian Phillips of Blythewood is ranked 21. So that's pretty good.
Excellent.
To have players like that looked at on a national scale. There you go with recruiting here on Sports Talk. Of course, you can check it out on our website. We remind you, sportstalksc.com on Twitter. Use the hashtag STRecruiting. It's a final. Western Carolina beat Wofford 16-5. Coach will never come on the show again. After
That's
that,
a shame too, because he was so good last night. But he did point out that Western was going to be a really, really hard matchup because of their offense, and proved to be the case today.
You got to remember here too, only the top 4 teams are in the tournament, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that
That's
means
correct.
it's not a 1 versus an 8 or a 6. You're playing a team that's in the top 4. So you're getting a pretty tough draw. Louisville and Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech tied the game, bottom of the 11th, 7-7. Now Louisville's gone on top of the 12th, 8-7.
Guess how?
Don't
Take a
tell me
wild guess as to how they went back in front.
a home run, maybe?
Ben Metzinger with a home run. That's the 4th of the day for Louisville, and now they're 11th so far in 2 games at Uptown Charlotte.
Well, that's what they're known for. They're known for hitting the long ball. Gardner-Webb and Upstate, they are scoreless, end of 1. Gardner-Webb had something brewing against Jordan Marks to open up the top of the first, but they could not score. They had bases loaded, and let's see, walk, single, walk, bases loaded. Oh, bases loaded, no one out. He gets a strikeout and a double play ball. Hey, you know what they say about double play balls?
It's a pitcher's best friend.
Oh, you've heard that.
I have heard that.
Florida thumping Alabama 7-0, top of the 9th. By the way, weather is moving into the Birmingham area. They've moved up the start of tomorrow's action to 10 o'clock their time, I think is what I saw. Okay, so you're up to date on all of that. North Greenville lost today. Charleston lost today. Wofford has lost. And we wait till Sunday to find out the locations of the regionals. And then Monday, we fill in the brackets. And don't forget, we will be here. You're going to be here, Chris? I
will be here.
Oh,
it's the first Memorial Day I've worked in my radio career. I think I'm kind of looking forward to it.
Well, you know what? It's a big day. It's a big day in our state. I mean, we'll probably be the only ones working in the sports world. You'll be here, won't you, Pat? Yeah. Don't do like you did a few years ago and get this crazy sunburn from being out in the lake and call me a half hour before the show like, I don't know if I can make it.
Life of a redhead, my friend. Life of a redhead.
Lather up. No, but it's a big day. It's too important a day not to have a sports talk show in our state. It's the day that the tournament is announced. And, we cover the baseball here with a lot of effort and passion. And it's going to be a big day because you're going to have South Carolina. You may have Upstate. You may have Wofford in the field. And, we're going to cover it. We're going to talk about it. We're going to have coaches on.
Speaking of baseball, I keep looking through the scoreboard to make sure to help you guys update throughout the show. And it's all conference tournaments across the country. And this isn't necessarily their fault, but the Pac-12 or Pac-14 is not actually having a tournament. Arizona, who's fighting for one of those host regional sites, while other teams are playing fellow ranked teams, Arizona is playing the Gladiators of Dixie State.
Just to get a W.
Excellent.
The couple of other notes here. Oh, this is important. So today, a couple of senators, Chris Murphy, Bernie Sanders, introduced in Congress the College Athlete Right to Organize Act, collective bargaining rights for college athletes, basically saying that they should be employees of schools. This act, if this is approved by Congress, it will allow college athletes to be employees. The NCAA responded by saying college athletes are students and not employees of the university. This bill would directly undercut the purpose of college, earning a degree. For once, the NCAA has come out with something that makes sense. The NCAA and its member schools support athletes through scholarships, many of which cover their full costs, and numerous other benefits. NCAA members are committed to modernizing NIL rules so athletes can benefit from the opportunities, but not become employees of their school. We will continue to work with Congress to focus on issues that align with our priorities, but turning athletes into union employees is not the answer. I agree with that. Finally, NCAA, get your head out of the sand, do something right. And
I am so tired, Phil. I am so tired of the federal government worrying more about what's going on with regards to the NCAA and the NBA and professional golf and the whole 9 yards, then things that they should be worried about.
Mm-hmm.
We've got still a raging pandemic going on. We've got issues in terms of foreign policy. We could go down the road with the debt in our country and so many things that these guys should be worried about. And this is what kept Bernie Sanders up late last night, worrying about whether or not college athletes should be able to unionize. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. South Carolina's Daniel Rodriguez, as we mentioned, won his match today. He's going to play for the NCAA Men's Singles Championship, and he'll do that tomorrow. So we'll keep a close watch on that. He won his match today when his opponent retired in the second set. I'm retiring from tonight. You are too, Chris. You too, Pat. Have a great night. See you tomorrow.
Someone will be right with you.
The Point. WQX